We got sucked into Jumanji, and we become the avatars we chose.
So that means
Bethany?
Oh, wait, Bethany? Don't look at it! No! I'm an overweight middle-aged man.
If you were a teenage girl and you suddenly woke up in a middle-aged man's body, you'd probably make all kinds of fun discoveries. Chief among them would be having a penis. I'll get into whether the new Jumanji goes there, but first please subscribe to Universe for more videos on your favorite movies and TV shows. Tell your friends, tell your family. It's the holidays, so you're gonna be around them if you can stand it. So Jumanji is back, and this time it is a video game instead of a board game. 4 teenage cliches get sucked inside, and they have to beat the game in order to get out.
Jumanji. You pick a character, and you're that person in the game.
Which one do I pick?
I don't think it matters that much.
Moose Finbar. Sounds like a badass.
I'll be the curvy genius.
Dr. Smolder Bravestone.
I guess I'm Ruby Roundhouse.
So The Rock has to act like this nerdy teenager. Kevin Hart, who's like a jock in real life, he becomes like this smaller guy. Jack Black has to act like a teenage girl, and Karen Gillan has to be like this awkward girl who doesn't know how to talk to boys. And they all really commit to playing these other characters, and it works really well. Who they are in real life produces all these weird situations inside the game. Like at one point, Jack Black has to teach Karen Gillan how to flirt with guys so she can seduce a pair of guards, and that's weird. Even weirder is when The Rock and Kevin Hart have to teach Jack Black how to hold his dick while he pees, because he hasn't had a dick before today.
I can't even with this place.
It's so good. It's kind of fun that Jumanji is apparently like sentient and has thoughts and can observe the outside world and transform itself and change the rules whenever it wants so that it can devour as many unsuspecting children as possible and like eat their souls or teach them important life lessons or whatever the point is. Jumanji actually seems like a pretty cool game. Like the characters have to fight enemies and solve puzzles and figure out how to talk to other characters, like the right dialogue to say. You know, normal video game stuff, except that they might actually really die. The movie does a good job establishing the rules early on, so it kind of stays on track, it keeps the goals as the focus, and like they figure out early on that if they die too many times in the game, they die in real life because they have limited lives, and that's how video games work. It's like different parts of The Matrix, Westworld, Ender's Game, Ready Player One, stuff like that all mixed together, and it works pretty well. Jumanji is also that rare sequel, reboot, remake type thing that doesn't get too bogged down in nostalgia. There's a couple of references to the original, but mostly this is its own thing, and it's honestly pretty refreshing. Jumanji probably spends a little too much time at the beginning with like the real life teenage versions of the characters, but it's also kind of understandable because it's like the only time they actually appear in the movie. It also starts to feel a little cheesy at some points, which is when it starts to feel more like a kid's movie and less of what it is, which is a movie for teenagers and adults who grew up with Jumanji. But then there's like always another dick joke around the next bend, so the contrast between those two sensibilities can kind of feel a little jarring at points. But it's also super funny, and all of the different elements like the body swap stuff and the different rules of the video game, stuff that really could have gone off the rails if it got too complicated or too deep on like its own mythology. The 4 main actors work really hard to stay in character as the teenagers that they are in the real world, and their chemistry is great. Also, Nick Jonas is in it, although it's kind of a spoiler to say who his character is, so I won't. Bottom line is, it's funny, it doesn't get too bogged down in its own nostalgia, and even though there's some cliches and there's some cheesier parts, the chemistry between all the 4 main characters and all the jokes that come out of that makes it worth it.